Should Ezekiel Elliott still be starting for the Cowboys?
Absolutely, he should still be the starter. His body of work has proven that. Now, Tony Pollard should be given more opportunities. Now, since week 7, Zeke has 49 carries. He's only averaging 3.2 a carry. Tony Pollard has less than half of that, 24. He's averaging 4.7 yards a carry. So that shows you he should be given more opportunity. But you can't bitch Zeke. Dak isn't playing the offensive line. The Dallas Cowboys in general, they're just not very good this year.
No.
You cannot bench him because Tony Pollard had a good game against Pittsburgh. Now, what you can and you should do is give him more opportunity. If this trend continues, he will get more opportunity. But I'm not benching Zeke the entire year. I don't care what Tony Pollard does. He will just get more opportunity than he's been given.
Wow, you just said the fatal words. I don't care what Tony Pollard does. Hey, I care what Tony Pollard does because I know if you're Ezekiel Elliott making an average salary of $15 million a year, expectations are high. So there's always a problem on my team when you make more money than plays, and that's what's happening to Ezekiel Elliott right now. So you want to go the whole body of work argument? Okay.
Hey, because of what you just said, what he's making, they ain't taking him off that starting lineup ever.
Yeah, well, look, the business side kicks in.
That's the bigger point.
Well, the dead cap and when his cap number, that's 2022. I give you that. He won't be off the team. But benching him, it's time to bench Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to use your words against you as I already started, TJ. Let's look at Ezekiel Elliott's body of work. And, boy, is this the Cowboys' conundrum. Look at Ezekiel Elliott in regression. If you start at the bottom, you actually see a guy that you're like, yeah, let's pay him $15 million a year. Then you get to 2017, 2018, 2019 to where we are right now. The worst numbers in terms of rushing yards per game and rush average. This is career body of work, as TJ likes it. 39th ranked amongst 48 running backs this season. You making the most and you're 39th ranked? So, look, I'm just simply going to say this. I hope you got another argument for me other than, hey, he's so expensive, we got to keep him. Yeah, keep him on the roster, but keep him in the starting lineup. LaVar, I ain't trying to hear that.
Well, the interesting thing is I am going to echo that his price tag does say that he's the franchise player. And as the franchise player, there's a couple different things that you got to think about doing if your franchise player is at that position of the running back or receiver, not so much a quarterback, but definitely like a linebacker or a running back receiver. You got to either get rid of them, cut your losses, try to trade them, or you got to play them. But you can't just bench your franchise player.
Why?
You got to make an example of the situation, because here's the thing. He did so well at some point in his career that he was awarded the richest deal for the position. He showed, in fact, I think he won. Didn't he win the rushing title the year before he got the deal? I think it was something to that effect. The bottom line here is that Ezekiel Elliott's body of work, as TJ mentioned, did set him up to be in the position he's in now. But he has done nothing since he's gotten his contract. And it's unfortunate that you're going to be based and weighed and measured off of what you're making because your play led to that. But you got to play him. You got to play him because you paid for him, and you got to hope that you're going to get an ROI or bust before bust. And that's just how I look at it.
Hey, man, look, I'm going to use my experience because my experience is my expertise. Quiet as kept. I was a franchise player at one time because of how much they paid me. I don't know if they built a franchise around me, but they paid me the most. Hey, and I think maybe for you too, LaVar, let's be real about this. Here we go. So when you get paid the most, guess what? They expect the most. And then whenever you get off of that expectation level, and I had a year where the next year after I got paid, I balled. And then the next year after that, I balled just a little less. And then there was that little whisper like, hey, let's not run that back the same way. Let's get back to old Wiley. And I ran it back again that way. You know what they said? Despite you making the most, we got to get you up out of here. Look, I got cut before because you make so much money, but you're not making as many plays. So I'm not special. Ezekiel Elliott won't be special in this situation either. If you look at Ezekiel Elliott, this is the biggest concern that you have to have in terms of what he's doing. One, there's a guy on his same team that just seems like he has more juice. Whether you could say it's the hamstring of Ezekiel Elliott, but it's not just that simple. TJ, it's not just this one game or since week 7. Let's get down and let's look at Tony Pollard compared to Ezekiel Elliott since 2019. Uh-oh. Look at these names and look at their yards per carry and their rushing average. Tony Pollard's on the list with guys that we know of like a Dalvin Cook, a Nick Chubb, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry. I don't see Ezekiel Elliott's name on that list. Oh, because he's 30th ranked and we ain't got that big a screen to scroll down all the way to Ezekiel Elliott. The point is, look, somebody on your team is tilting. If on my team somebody was getting more sacks than me and then making less money than me, it's only a amount of time, TJ, before they like, yo, you're going to have to get up out of here, Mr. Franchise.
That's true.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe I've heard one Marcellus Wiley say this on this show.
Uh-oh, here we go. Receipts.
You might have great stats, but if I get more plays, I'm still going to give you the same stat. That doesn't mean I'm going to give you better production. I've heard you say that.
Yeah, that's
now,
real.
this is what needs to happen. And what I said earlier, you give Tony Pollard more opportunity to see. If I give you more opportunity, you can continue to still produce at the clip you're producing at. And if that's the case, you will get more opportunity. Now, Zeke will still remain the starter, but his opportunities will become less and less because we're continuing to give Tony Pollard these opportunities. And not only is he's producing at the same clip when he was getting less opportunities. And so that's what you want to see. If I give you 20 carries, are you still going to average 4.7 a carry? As opposed to if I give you 10. So it's really, can he produce at this same clip with more opportunities being given to him? That's what I want to see. And I know Zeke can, and that's why he's going to be my starter.
I agree with that because here's the thing about it. He has been productive. But now my question is, because you have so much talent on the outsides of that offense, is he productive because the attention shifts to, we're looking at the receiving core, we're looking at the passing game. We're not looking at Pollard being the guy that's going to make a difference in this game. And unfortunately for Tony Pollard, that's true. Tony Pollard has not been the difference in them winning and losing because they're obviously losing. So I would venture to say that you can't justify Tony Pollard's success based off of saying that Tony Pollard has done so well, we have to sit Ezekiel Elliott down. Because, quite frankly, he might be doing well because the attention and focus being put on Ezekiel Elliott could be the reason why Tony Pollard is continuing to have these pockets of success on the field.
But look, it's not just me saying this. Troy Aikman, basically, in the most politically correct but gangster way he could say it as being a Cowboys ambassador, was like, one, what the hell y'all doing paying running backs? And two, you expect them to stay healthy and productive through all these years when you can find anybody to go play the running back position. And I'm not going to say anybody, but look, Terrell Davis was a 6th rounder and helped John Elway get over the hump. The Shanahans, as Aikman pointed out, the Shanahans been doing this for 25 years. Getting anybody. They got some great running backs too, but they also have had some guys before, and you're like, huh? How this guy get it? Jeff Wilson comes to mind this year. I watched Jeff Wilson run up and down the field on the New England Patriots. Jeff Wilson had 17 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns, and makes $500,000 a year. And Zeke has not been over 100 yards this year and is making $15 million a year. How about this? Zeke has not been over 100 yards, but twice in the last 17 games for the Dallas Cowboys, which they're 5-12 in those games. Let me kill y'all with some names and some stats right here. Oh, my God. 28 NFL players. I ain't even say running backs. Players have had 100-yard-plus rushing performances this year.
Couple quarterbacks in there, too.
Not Zeke. Yo, I am looking at Lamar Jackson, okay, kind of expected, and Kyler Murray have had 100-yard rushing performances, but not the highest paid running back in the game. What? 7 teams have 2 players. 7 teams have 2 guys on the same team that have done it, but no Ezekiel Elliott. So I got to send a message to Zeke. I understand this sounds a little extreme, but Bill Parcells did this when I was a Dallas Cowboy. He looked at Eddie George. I think Eddie George was in his 10th year. And he didn't like something about Eddie George. I don't know what it was, training camp, whatever. He didn't give him the right gifting all season, but he didn't like Eddie George like that. And Eddie George had a consecutive starting streak that Bill Parcells broke in week 1. Had Eddie on the bench for the first play and then let him go out there to just break the streak. Why? Just to send a message. I need to light a fire under you. What greater message? Forget about the number of carries, just the game to start. And Ezekiel Elliott outside his comfort zone. Because right now, he's outside of his playing and the zone that they're paying him at. Something needs to wake him up because obviously keeping things status quo won't work.
You know, one thing that was explained to me when I was playing the game was, again, I think I said this on the show before, good is when you can walk up to the table and sneak up on people and take food off of their plate. Great is when they know that you're there, you coming to get the food, and you still can walk up on them and grab the food and take the plate, right?
Yeah.
They know Ezekiel has been really good. This is a moment in time for Ezekiel to prove that he's great. And those who have transitioned from being good to great have been able to find a way to still produce even under the most extreme situations. I mean, Barry Sanders, who I'm a big fan of, is one that really comes to mind when I think about at the running backs position, or even if you want to look at Jerome Bettis, because Jerome Bettis in a lot of ways, even though he's bigger than what Ezekiel Elliott is, if you are a fan of the game, their running styles are a lot the same. It's very powerful. It's explosive. It's quick. And Jerome Bettis transitioned into a style of running that suited his style of running with the team that he was playing for. It seems as though Ezekiel Elliott is being tasked with a situation here where he has to find an identity for his running style that's going to fit his current situation with the team that he's playing on. And that's going to dictate if he can transition from being a good back to a great back.
Now, we have to be careful with this. Earlier in the season, the Cowboys are having a disappointing season. What was starting to happen? Oh, man, the coaches don't know what they're doing. They're not giving us the right information. Depending on the type of sway that Zeke has in his locker room, they bench him, they can completely lose a lot of players depending on his voice if he doesn't handle this the right way. And so that's another reason why you have to be careful. And I don't think Mike McCarthy wants to go down that road. They've already talked about the coaching and what they do or don't do as a staff. You do this and he doesn't take kindly to it, you could possibly lose some players that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I also got to look at the flip side of this. And I'm like, Zeke, you had a hamstring, right, last week? That's why you couldn't go in 6th gear. Well, then rest your hamstring and your sorry butt right now because I'm not liking it. Look, you can hide behind that. You're like, no, we're taking care of him. You know, we got to do load management to make sure Ezekiel's here for this hopefully stretch
maybe
run.
That eat tattoo meant something different than on the field.
Yo,
you know what I mean? Maybe that hamstring.
You got to check the body fat because I don't know. Zeke don't look the same to me. I don't know about y'all. But we all know the best way to send a message to a player is not even through their wallet. As much as it feels that way, once you get your contract, I remember getting fined before, and I was like, oh, whatever. They take the money out before I even get it, so I didn't feel that pinch, right? But if coach walks up to you and say, hey, come here, sit right here.
Write that check.
I want you to sit right here. And when the game starts, you still sit right here.
Oh, yeah.
Benching will pinch you harder than sometimes taking the digit away from you in the wallet.
Yeah.
So if I'm coaching the Cowboys right now, Mike McCarthy, I don't know, big dogs. Time to send a message to Zeke. And the only way they'll really affect them and hurt them, bench them.